Proteins: blue crab, 2 pounds of medium to large shrimp, pound of smoked andouille sausage, and a pack of 4 bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs. Looks like these are SEC thighs. Roll Tide. So anyway, I got a big pot, put in some water. I'd probably say 8 to 10 cups of water. Hefty amount of Tony Chachere's. A good couple splashes of white vinegar, and probably enough lemon juice to compensate and to say it's maybe a full lemon's worth. Then I stuck the blue crab over in there once it started boiling. Boiled them for 10 minutes, pulled out the blue crab, and then I took the chicken thighs, chunked them over in the same water. So while they were boiling, I went and peeled and deheaded my shrimp. Then I took the shells of the shrimp and the shells of the blue crab, and I put them on a roasting pan at 400 degrees for 10 minutes, or 10 minutes and 34 seconds, whatever you prefer to do. We have the tops of some celery, huge yellow onion, about 4 to 5 cloves of garlic, 3 bay leaves, and I use 2 heaping teaspoons of tomato paste. Once the chicken is done, I take them out and I strain my broth. Put this to the side. Then once the shells are out of the roasting portion of their day, I put them in back in the big pot, give them a good mash with a potato masher to crunch them up a little bit. Pour the broth back over them, and we let that simmer. We don't boil these shells. So you want it to have just a couple of bubbles to start coming up before a complete boil, and then cut that down. So I do this for about 30 minutes, and then I come back in, add in my celery tops, my onion, my garlic, my bay leaves, my tomato paste, and I hit it with salt and black peppercorns. And I let that go for another hour. 1 hour later, we've got this. It's my broth. Look how brown that is. And this in itself smells like gumbo, just by itself. It's amazing. So that's my little cheesecloth there over my fine mesh strainer. And I pour it all in there and let it soak through so we can get out all those little bitty bits of shells and everything. So before I get started, I want to have everything ready. I cut up my celery, my yellow onion, and my bell pepper. That's the trinity. I chop up some garlic. I chop up my okra. And then I get my chicken ready, my sausage ready, my bacon ready, all the things ready. So here we are. Let's get started. In a cold pan. Now, this pot needs to be a heavy bottom pot. You don't need one of those thin aluminum stock pots that's $10 from Walmart. Invest in either a good Dutch oven, cast iron Dutch oven, or a good stock pot that is at least 12 quarts with a really heavy bottom, because it's going to help out with your roux not scorching. So what you want to do is you want to render the fat. I took the smoked andouille sausage, cut it into bite-sized pieces, and I've got about a half a pound of Cajun bacon. Yes, Cajun bacon. So you put this in the cold pot, and then you crank on the heat. And I'm talking maybe to low to medium heat. Like I'm putting it, well, here you go, between 4 and 5. That's where we're at. Slow and low. That's our theme for today. So anyway, you're going to render the fat out of this sausage and bacon. That means you're not going to start frying it immediately. You're going to bring it up to temperature and kind of let it do its thing. The fat's going to pull out of there. You're going to want to do this for at least 10 minutes or so until you have a good amount of sausage and bacon grease in the bottom of your pan. At this point, you will remove these pieces with a slotted spoon and just set them aside. And we'll get started on our roux. Some thyme, parsley, paprika, bay leaves, Worcestershire sauce, and some gumbo filet. A lot of people will either use okra or gumbo filet. I use a little bit of both. The gumbo filet is just ground sassafras, and it helps as a thickening agent in your gumbo. It also gives it that earthy tone. Um, but the ground filet, you never want to boil it. You always want to put it in last 15 minutes or so, um, whenever the temperature has come down. So let's get started. In the bacon grease, you are going to add, it needs to be equal parts. So if you have, well, not equal parts so much, but if, like, I would have 3/4 cup of oil or grease or fat, and then a cup of flour, or maybe a cup and a quarter of flour. You just have to fill it out. So what we do is, when you start this part, you have to be ready and be committed, because you're going to be standing here. Your shoulders are going to hurt. Your legs are going to hurt. Your back is going to hurt. And right now I have a headache, but I've been in the kitchen since 6:30 and now it's 2:30. So anyway, the roux, 3/4 cup bacon grease, sausage grease, and then a cup or a little bit more of all purpose flour. Chunk that in there and we're going to stir. And you're going to continue to stir this, and it's going to be a very low, slow process. Um, this is going to take a while. And you have different stages of roux. It's going to start out in the blonde stage, and then it's going to go to, a caramel macchiato stage, and then it's going to go to the milk chocolate stage. And then the last stage you're going to get to is the dark chocolate stage. And the darker your roux gets, the less thickening agent it has, but it has more flavor. And it's very important during this process about the roux is to, number one, you keep stirring it. You don't let it sit. And number two, you're going to have to monitor the temperature. I can't tell you how many times I went from a number 1 on my stove knob to a number 5 to a number 4 to a number 2, back to a 5 before I got it all to where I needed it to be. And I will tell you that I stood and stirred my roux on my stove for an hour and 10 minutes before I got it to the color I want. So basically, that's what you have to look forward to. It's a labor of love and it's really fun. And when you get it to that point, you are so happy. Just a couple things about roux. Number one, if at any point you do see black specks or you do smell that burnt smell, you have to chunk it and start over. There's no way to fix this. Once you have the burnt flavor in there it will be there throughout the entire batch. And it was bitter and it does taste horrible. So if you do burn it, chunk it and let's start over. During this process, I was scared to death because I saw some of those flavor pieces in the bottom of my pan, and I was like, that's going to burn. Like, that's going to burn, and it's going to all taste burnt. But I trusted the process. I didn't overheat it. I kept stirring, and I ended up with this amazing dark chocolate color. Um, so here we are. Once you do that, you grab your Trinity, throw it over in there. So you got your Trinity, it's going to start sizzling up, and you just keep stirring, and it's going to turn a little bit more darker brown. You stir. I stirred for about 5 or 6 minutes, and then I added my garlic. You don't want to add the garlic too quick because you don't want it to burn. So about minute 6, I throw the garlic in, mix it up for another few minutes. And then at this point, you can add back in your sausage and your chicken. Um, I kept stirring and kept adding. You can also salt during this stage. You want to salt during the whole process of cooking. You don't ever want to just salt once and then never salt again. You have to continue adding the flavor because gumbo is about building flavor, right? So basically, at this point, you're ready to start adding in your stock. Now, you will benefit from my mistake because I didn't realize at the time that hot needs to go to hot. So the stock that I had was not cold, but it was not hot. It was room temperature. And here I go adding it to this scorching hot Trinity roux sausage chicken mixture. It turned out fine because I fixed it at the end. But for you, my suggestion is to make sure that you keep your stock hot and you don't add it all at one time. I added probably a third of my stock, and then stirred and let it come up to temperature. And then I added some more. And it was just a process of adding, stirring until it comes up to temperature, adding some more, and then continuing. So here we are adding all of our stock. And I actually ended up adding about 3 cups of just regular water because I needed a little bit more juice in there, because I knew I had a lot of shrimp to put in too. So at this point, you get it to where all your stock is incorporated. You stirred it up pretty good. It's come up to temperature. It's not boiling. I never boil it. I just get it almost to the boil. So you incorporate your stock and then you add all your seasonings. I added my salt, my pepper, my bay leaves, my thyme, my paprika, my Worcestershire sauce, and my parsley. Then you put in your shrimp and your okra, and you just stir that bad boy up and let it sit for another 30 minutes to an hour, on number one setting, very lowest setting. About 45 minutes into the cook, you want to grab your filet if you're using it, and this would be the time to put it in. I just used a teaspoon in this entire batch of gumbo filet, and it did the trick. I let it sit for a little bit longer, turn it off the heat, and serve it the next day. You can serve it immediately or serve it the next day, but gumbo is always better 24 hours later. I hope y'all have enjoyed this. I had a blast making this, but I'm telling you right now, my body is sore. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. It's been a full day, but I'm going to tell you that first spoonful was amazing. But the thing about this is it has such a great flavor and it's such a great um, layer of different flavoring that every spoonful got better and better. It was honestly one of those dishes that I did not want to quit eating. So I hope that you try it. I hope that you enjoy this. I'm sorry it's so long, but it was a great process, and I hope that you try it. Let me know what you think.